Are you resitting GCSE Maths? Taking the foundation tier papers? Ever wondered whether you should actually sit the higher tier instead, even if you're only aiming for a grade 4? Maybe this is a case of who dares wins.
I'll take dare!
Howdy everyone, and welcome back to GIL Learning. For over 8 years now, I've helped GCSE Maths students, many of them independent candidates outside of the school system, choose the exam board and tier that give them the best shot at success. Today, I'm going to take you inside how GCSE Maths papers are actually built, so you can see why, even if your target grade is a 4 or 5, the higher tier is often less risky than you think, and why the bigger risk might actually be in not taking it. So stick with me as we pull back the curtain to expose the secrets of your GCSE Maths exam papers. Why does this matter? As a physicist and professional engineer, I tutor maths from GCSE right up to undergraduate level. And one of my biggest frustrations is watching foundation tier students push for over 60% of marks just to scrape a grade 4 pass, while the same grade on the higher tier papers is often awarded for 15 to 25% of the marks. Now, I hear you all counter this with, but isn't the higher tier harder? That's what most people say, but let's take a closer look. Ofqual sets strict rules for how exam papers are designed, and yes, the full process is complicated. So, to help you digest it all, here are 5 secrets about your maths papers that I bet you don't know. Secret 1. Grade overlap. The highest grade available in the foundation tier is a 5, and the overlapping grades available in both tiers are 3, 4 and 5. Now, the fact that grades 4 and 5 are common to both tiers is well understood out there in the wild, but that the top half of a grade 3 is also available in the higher tier paper, we find that's more of a secret than it really should be. It's what the exam boards call an allowed grade. The higher tier isn't actively targeted towards grade 3, but even so, it does mean you can miss that grade 4 and not end up with a dreaded unclassified grade U. Secret 2. Question overlap. To keep standards consistent across the 2 tiers, every paper has what are called common questions, which are identical on both tiers, similar questions which cover the same content but use different wording, and non-common questions. These are naturally the harder ones on higher and the easier ones on the foundation. I could sit here and talk about chained equipercentile equating, the method used to ensure comparability between the tiers, but who gives a hoot about that? All we're interested in is that you can be confident the exam boards have to ensure that a grade 4 represents the same standard of maths ability on both foundation and higher papers. The upshot being that you get actual foundation paper questions on the higher tier papers, and quite a few of them at that. Which brings me nicely onto Secret 3, the detail. Our first 2 secrets reveal the nature of the overlap between the foundation and higher tier papers. But what do these principles equate to, pardon the pun, on an actual exam paper? The exam boards must ensure that at least 20% of marks come from those common questions we just learned about, which are shared between the tiers and targeted at grades 4 and 5. Here's a real example for you. On the 2023 AQA GCSE papers, questions 18 to 24 in paper 3F were identical to questions 5 to 11 in paper 3H. That's a 22 out of 80 mark overlap, a pattern that repeated on papers 1 and 2 as well, meaning that 27.5% of higher tier marks were available from foundation paper questions. Here's the bombshell though. That same year, the higher tier grade 4 boundary was just 25%. Translation? You could get a grade 4 by answering only foundation paper questions that were literally duplicated on the higher tier paper. I bet you didn't know that. Secret 4. Targeted grades. As well as those cross-tier criteria, Ofqual also controls the mark distribution within each paper, ironically quite a mathematical concept. The higher tier papers must strike a balance between providing questions aimed at grade 4 and 5 students, while still challenging grade 9 students elsewhere in the paper. Similarly, parts of the foundation papers must be accessible to each of the lower grades. The rules state that, in a higher tier paper, half of the marks target grades 4 to 6, and the other half target grades 7 to 9. Whereas in a foundation paper, half of the marks target grades 1, 2 and the bottom of grade 3, while the other half of the marks target the top of grade 3 plus grades 4 and 5. Targeting questions is obviously a tricky and kind of subjective affair, but the exam boards have multiple concurrent approaches to ensure that they remain consistent in how they do so. Because higher has to stretch all the way up to grade 9, only about 1/6 of its marks are actually aimed at grade 4. That's why the grade 4 boundary is so low, often around 20% as we've discussed. Indeed, if you're a student targeting a grade 4, then this secret has profound implications for the tactics you should use to study and revise. Your best option is to take a depth over breadth approach. If you truly master just a few core areas, then you can scoop up marks far more reliably than if you try to cover every single topic. It sounds a bit controversial, right? Well, you can watch our video explaining and advocating this less is more approach here, and it's also linked in the description. Secret 5. Problem solving. Since 2017, when the current GCSE Maths specification came in, problem-solving skills have seen greater emphasis, constituting 25% of foundation marks, up from 15%, and 30% of higher marks, up from 25%. This is defined by Ofqual's so-called Assessment Objective 3, catchy I know, which involves applying maths to real-world situations, rather than just performing calculations, or what you and I might call number crunching. And because it's mandated by Ofqual, that means that AO3 applies to all the exam boards. Some students think of problem solving as a topic, similar to trigonometry or circle theorems. But this is a mistake. Problem solving involves breaking questions down into manageable chunks, making connections between mathematical concepts, interpreting results, evaluating opposing methods, and assessing the impact of any assumptions we make. And as such, it's more of an overarching skill than it is a topic per se. It might sound tricky, but you can practice and master this skill just like any other. Indeed, check out our problem solving and plan writing video to get the lowdown on how you can tackle this type of question. If you've made it this far into the video, then you're clearly serious about forging the right path through GCSE Maths for you. So, just for you, here are 2 bonus insights. Together, we've discovered that on the higher tier papers, you typically need only around 20% for a grade 4. So let's say you target 25% to be super safe. That means you can safely drop 3 in every 4 marks. For AQA and edXL's exam series, that means you can safely drop 180 marks across the 3 papers and still get a grade 4 pass. And for any independent candidates amongst you, don't forget about the edXL igcse option. It only has 2 papers and no non-calculator paper at all. And it's absolutely equivalent to a GCSE. Indeed, many private schools in the UK choose it, despite the I in igcse standing for international. So, in a nutshell, here's our complete 5-part breakdown of the secrets of exam paper design again. We can't tell you the right tier for you, But we do hope this video is helpful and gets you thinking. At the very least, now your eyes are wide open to the options that your school or college should be discussing with you. If you want to explore our depth over breadth strategy to bossing GCSE Maths, whether you're targeting a Grade 4 pass or seeking to build the foundations of a career in STEM like yours truly, then be sure to check out our other 2 videos, as well as this course on our website, more than a dozen videos of which can be sampled entirely for free. Links are also available in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon!